everyone, and thanks for joining us. Today we're back with children's author and illustrator Annie M. Wyatt. Hey, Annie, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Thanks for coming on again. And today I want to talk to you all about author branding. So, how did you develop your brand as an author and as a children's author and illustrator in specific? And what key elements define that?
Absolutely. I think there's two key elements, the verbal and the visual. So, how are you writing about yourself? What's your personality online? I'm not, over there doing a lot of emojis and exclamation points, but I'm also not short and brief with a lot of periods or no punctuation. I think I have built my brand in the written form as just kind of structured and pretty literal and direct, but also really enthusiastic about what's coming to market. Um, Visually, when I post about the brand, I try not to make it too much about me or my face. It's the book that I'm
Mm.
selling and promoting and I adore. So it's a lot of photos and imagery about the book. And I think that's just really important to define your aesthetic, uh, visually and verbally on how you want to go to market.
I think that's a great point. And on the topic of your personal experiences, what ways do those shape your stories that you tell? And if you're catering to a younger audience, like children, which you are, how can you tell those stories in a way that is easy for them to understand?
Yeah, I think the story that I like to share, I grew up in Boston, but I went to a very international and diverse high school. And so that really speaks to my first book about inclusion and diversity. And you can be anyone you want, and your home is wherever you call home, and the people that you love. Your castle is wherever you call home. So I think I try to bring in some of my life examples of
Mm.
how my parents raised me and the things that influenced me into the messages I share with children. That's the first book. And the second book, A Horse in the Castle, it's all about just like loving up on animals. They're so important and they're so peaceful and they're so kind. And I think horses are very mystical creatures. I
Mm.
lived in New York City for 10 years. We rarely saw horses. And coming down here and now living in the South, I see horses all the time and they're just majestic. You're like, I want to give it a hug, but I'm kind of scared of it because it's so big. And so I'm hoping this book introduces the world a little bit more to what a day in the life of a horse is like.
I like that a lot. That's fantastic. And how important would you say it is for a children's author like yourself to have a distinct and recognizable style, both in illustration and in writing, to continue to build their brand in a consistent way?
Oh, I think it's critical. I think especially now having a series, what I'm calling the Of Castle series, purchasers, customers, so parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, friends, who's ever buying this book, they know what they're going to get. This book is
Mm.
written in rhyming verse. They know the artwork is illustration based. The second book is mostly black and white, which helps really young children see the photos. It's just known that children don't develop the ability to see color until as they grow into life. So for me, it's important that a parent, a grandparent, again, like I said, that whole customer group just knows the brand that they're getting in. Because my dream is one day they say, "Oh, Annie wrote a book. Well, we're gonna get it. We know the style, we know the voice. It's perfect. We love it."
Yeah. And, I think it's a great point about consistency. And would you have any other tips for, if I'm an author that's trying to build a more consistent brand, how can I make it totally consistent across all my platforms? So not only my books and illustration, but, even my emails and my social media and my website.
Yeah. Just the first thing that came to mind is consistency of font. So in my book, I use serif fonts. In my social platforms, I can on Instagram, but when I email, I try to find the same font that the book is written in. It's those little attributes. What are the core colors of this new book? It's like the pinks and the browns, the muted barn colors.
Hmm.
I'm going to write my emails in those muted colors. When I post on social platforms, I'm going to try to capture those colors as well. So it's all of those things about building your brand aesthetically so people can start to hopefully recognize it on a shelf and say, oh, that's one of those Annie books.
I don't think I've ever heard the font, and I think that's an excellent idea. It's very a great way of conveying who you are, and you have so many options. Or you have lots of options with color as well. But I think that's one thing that everyone should do, but everyone does do. And
Yeah.
I think the font is like a very new, a new thing that I think that's great. And to close, Annie, what advice would you give a new author on building just a strong, memorable brand that resonates with both children and their parents?
Absolutely. So the first thing I would do, and it's such a traditional marketing tactic, open up a Word document, open up if you have Illustrator, but just a one pager and just articulate what is your brand? Like, what is the font that we write in? What are the colors that we use?
Mm,
What is the personality of my brand? Write some keywords. Are you playful? Are you serious? Are you ironic? How are you describing yourself? And then I think with parents, you have to be very cognizant, or the customers, I like to say, because there's so many people that have the opportunity to read to children, but you just have to be cognizant of what are they looking for? Because
mm,
most times someone is reading to a child, it's either before a nap time, so they're like desperate to get the kid down if the child is grumpy, or
right.
it's a moment of peace and joy and quiet. So I just find that children's books should evoke that
Mm.
and lean towards those quiet and peaceful times. And then for the audience and for children, I think you just have to capture moments of play and spark curiosity. I love reading to my sons and their friends, or going to schools or wherever it might be, and seeing what attributes of the book gravitate towards children. And that's why I wrote the second book. I noticed that with the first, everyone loved this little horse in a castle that was really a barn. And I was like, all right, here we go. Book two. I'm just going to focus on the horse. So I think you have to listen to the audience regardless of age and adopt that into your brand.
Well, Annie, thank you. That was wonderful insight on author branding.
Thanks.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's interview with children's author and illustrator Annie M. Wyatt. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.